First, launch pycharm from the Start menu. Note that in this course, I am going to be using Replit for all of my programs because in Replit, I will be providing you the links to each of the exercises and the final code. So you can use pycharm if you want, but most of the exercises will be provided in Replit. Here, when you type pycharm, you will see pycharm community edition and the version you installed. Just open that and then it will show you the JetBrains community edition terms. Just click on I confirm and then continue and then click on don't send. After that, it is going to open pycharm. Now if you have Visual Studio Code, it will tell you if you want to import settings from that here. Just skip that if you get this. And this is the page you will be greeted with. In here, you have many things like the Customize tab, the plugins, Learn, Projects. Just click on New Project. And you are going to give the name of your project here. We are going to name our project Printing. And then after that, just click on Create. In here, you can see the processes that it's going to. So let that finish first. Now after that's complete, you can maximize the page and as you can see this is what we have. First we have the .venv folder. You don't need to worry about that, just close that. And let's first look at how to create a file. So on the top where you have your project name, just right click and then hover over new and then come down, click on Python file. And here you just need to give the name of your Python file. I'm going to name it main. Now in most editors, you have to give the format also. For Python, it is main.py. When you give this .py at the end of the file, the editor will understand that this is a Python file and it will treat it as a Python file. But in pycharm, when you hit create Python file, it will just give that automatically, so you don't need that. Just write the name of your file and then press enter. As you can see, our file was successfully created. Now you can adjust this to the side so you have more room to code. In this area which you see, this is going to be the entire area where we are going to be coding. So now let's start with the real fun, which is printing on the console. The first step is going to be writing print and then an opening parenthesis followed by a closing parenthesis. Inside this, we have to give a double quote, also known as quotes, and then inside that we have to give the text that we want to print. In this case, it's going to be the classic hello world. And then in here, as you can see this button, if we click on it, it will run our code and hello world will be printed on the console. Now let's look at the details. How is this happening? The first thing is that you might realize the color of our code. The print is a function, so it is purple colored. And then the quotes and the text inside the quotes is colored as green. In this case, this means that this hello world is not code. So it will treat this as a piece of text which you want to print on the console and not code like the print function. And then we are going to use a closing parenthesis to close off this function. So now let's look at a more detailed explanation. First we have the print function and then inside that we have to give what we want to print. In this case it's going to be something and then it is going to be inside the double quotes or the quotes. And after that it is going to print that on the console like so. So what happens if we forget a double quote? For example in here. And if we run our code now, we are going to get a syntax error, which this does not sound like English at all, so don't be intimidated. First, let's look at what's happening. So in here, since we don't have a closing double quote, Python is treating all of this as text and it is trying to find the closing double quote, but there isn't any closing double quote. So it is giving us an error that I cannot find the closing double quote. If you hover over it, pycharm also gives us a hint that we are missing the closing double quote. So that means that if we give our closing double quote here and run our code, it is going to function properly as it used to. And errors can happen for many reasons, like us forgetting a closing parenthesis, or in this case, we forgot a double quote. Now, what I want you to keep in mind is we all make errors. Every programmer makes thousands of errors in their career. But the best programmer is the one that is very good at finding the error. Like we found out that our error was the closing double quote. Now the final step is going to be practicing, and in the next video I have a couple of exercises for you which you can do to practice your skill of printing. So for all of that and more, I'll see you there.